The connection between what goes into a smoothie and how the joints feel later is something most people never make because the smoothie looks so healthy in the first place. It sits in the glass looking bright green or deep purple, full of fruit, maybe a handful of spinach thrown in for good measure. It feels like the right choice. It feels like something the body should thank you for. But that does not mean it is helping the joints. That is the part most people never stop to question. The word smoothie has become attached to the idea of wellness, and that connection has made it very easy to stop reading labels, stop measuring portions, and stop thinking about what is actually going into the blender. A lot of people think the words fruit, green, and natural automatically means safe. That is exactly where the trap begins. A smoothie can still be packed with sugar, loaded with too much fruit, and filled with ingredients that push blood sugar up fast. And when blood sugar keeps jumping, the body can pay a price that does not always show up right away. Big sugar spikes may not be the only cause of joint pain, but they can make the overall environment inside the body far less friendly to healing and recovery. That is important to say clearly because this is not about removing fruit from the diet entirely. But too much fruit packed into one single drink can become a problem very fast, and it is a problem that sneaks up on people because each ingredient seems reasonable on its own. Think about this combination for a moment. One banana, a cup of mango, some pineapple chunks, a splash of orange juice, and maybe a sweetened yogurt on top of that. Each of those things individually might not raise an eyebrow, but together in one glass, that can turn a single smoothie into a very large sugar load. And when there is no balance in that drink, no fiber to slow things down, no fat to buffer the impact, the body has to work much harder to manage what just came in. The issue is not just the sweetness itself. It is how fast the sugar hits the system. Whole fruit is better than juice, that part is true, but a smoothie blends everything so completely and so quickly that it becomes very easy to drink more fruit in one sitting than the body would normally eat at one time. Nobody sits down and eats one banana, one cup of mango, and a cup of pineapple all at once. But in a blender, that combination disappears in about 60 seconds. The label on the outside of the blender says healthy. The ingredients inside tell a different story. Flavored yogurt is one of the most common examples. It gets added because it sounds nutritious, because it has protein and probiotics, and because the label often says things like light or natural. But many flavored yogurts contain a significant amount of added sugar, sometimes as much as a dessert. Fruit juice is another one that catches people off guard. It may sound natural, and technically it comes from fruit, but juice removes the fiber that helps slow sugar absorption down. That means the body gets the sweet part of the fruit much faster, without the same benefit that comes from eating the whole fruit. Then there are the sweetened plant milks, the dessert-style protein powders with added flavoring, and the syrupy extras like honey or agave that get drizzled in because they feel like a healthier alternative to regular sugar. None of these ingredients are automatically bad in every situation. A drink that feels light and refreshing can still quietly push the body in the wrong direction day after day without ever triggering the kind of obvious warning sign that would make someone stop and reconsider. They do not exist in a separate system that is unaffected by food choices, blood sugar patterns, or the level of inflammation running through the body on any given day. What happens with diet, with how often blood sugar spikes, and with how much inflammatory pressure the body is under can absolutely affect how a person feels from one day to the next, including how the joints feel. When the body receives too much sugar too frequently, it may generate more internal stress and more of the kind of environment where inflammation can thrive. That does not mean one smoothie causes arthritis. It does not mean a single bad breakfast is going to destroy the joints. It means the daily pattern matters enormously. A smoothie that is built on sweet fruit, juice, and sugary extras consumed every single morning may not be supporting someone who is already trying to calm joint pain and reduce inflammation. The problem compounds when this becomes a habit. When the same drink gets made every morning because it feels like the healthy option and nobody ever stops to look at the total sugar content or the glycemic load of what is in the glass. These swaps are small individually, but together they shift the entire character of the drink. And those changes do not require giving up flavor or making the drink feel like a punishment. The first shift is to start with lower sugar fruits like berries instead of building the base around banana, mango, and pineapple all at once. Berries are naturally lower in sugar, they are rich in antioxidants, and they still bring real sweetness and color to the drink. The second shift is to add ingredients that slow things down. Chia seeds, ground flaxseed, half an avocado, or plain unsweetened yogurt can all help create a more balanced drink by adding fiber, healthy fat, and protein. These ingredients change the way the body processes the smoothie, making the whole experience steadier and less likely to cause a sharp spike. Greens like spinach work very well in this context too because they add volume and nutrients without contributing much sugar at all. For flavor, reaching for cinnamon, fresh ginger, or a squeeze of lemon instead of sweet syrups or flavored powders can make a meaningful difference. Especially for someone managing joint discomfort or trying to reduce the kind of low-grade inflammation that can make arthritis feel worse over time. It just needs to be built with a little more intention. A solid example might look like this. Start with unsweetened plain yogurt or plain kefir as the base, add a generous handful of mixed berries, throw in a large handful of spinach, add 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, and blend it all with unsweetened almond milk or plain water. That combination gives real sweetness from the berries, fiber from the seeds and greens, protein and probiotics from the yogurt, and a liquid base that does not add any extra sugar. The result is a drink that is balanced, satisfying, and much more supportive of stable blood sugar. If more flavor or sweetness is genuinely needed, a small piece of banana, perhaps a quarter or a third, can be enough to round it out without turning the whole drink into a sugar-heavy meal. A smoothie made without thinking can do the opposite, quietly, every single morning, in a way that never gets questioned because it always looks so healthy sitting there in the glass. That mindset has quietly misled a very large number of people who are genuinely trying to take care of their health. The word fruit carries so much positive association that it becomes almost invisible as a source of concern. But if the smoothie is loaded with juice, sweetened yogurt, flavored protein powder, syrup, and 3 or 4 high-sugar fruits blended together, it may be working directly against the body rather than supporting it. For someone who is already dealing with joint pain, stiffness, or the kind of chronic inflammation that comes with arthritis, that is exactly the kind of daily mistake that is worth identifying and fixing. The blender itself is not the problem. The blender is just a tool. It does not decide whether what comes out of it is helpful or harmful. The ingredients do. So before making the next smoothie, take a moment to actually look at what is going into it. Check the sugar content of the yogurt. Consider whether juice is necessary or whether whole fruit would serve better.